I'm just going to give a disclaimer. We are testing out a new software here in the council chambers for voting, and it's our first time. So if there's some holdups or confusion, we're working through that. This is our first test run. So item 2 is budget review. We will review and discuss the 2026 Park Department budget. Mr. Klingforth?
All right. Good evening, everyone. Jake Linkforth, Park and Rec and Building Superintendent for the City of Wisconsin Rapids. In front of you, I did hand out some budget revisions that we made for 2026. If you look at it, we're cutting back a little bit at aquatics, some other green area, Parks Department, tree care, and special events, which kind of brought it down to about $52,000 for the 2026 budget. So as we go on, we'll probably talk about which section of the budget that's in, those breakdowns. So I guess we can start with the Park and Rec budget. Just a brief summary of that. Again, I can't thank enough with staff that we have here in the city with the Park and Rec. Can't do it without them, and also all the volunteers that help us out throughout the year with city projects, landscape areas, park cleanups, expressway cleanups. So just one big shout out to everyone who helps us with that. Just kind of going over some 2025 accomplishments and some highlights. A lot of it was at the zoo with the River Otter exhibit, the Helen's House construction, playground at the zoo, which is getting taken care of right now. Some things that we are finishing up as we speak would be the pickleball courts over at Mead, and the new playground, obviously, that was constructed last year. Again, all these projects were all grant funded through the legacy and other aspects of the city. So again, without them, a lot of these things that we do with the Parks and Rec is mainly because of all the grants that we get. I guess, does anyone have any questions on anything with the parks? With the budget, aquatic center. If you look at that revision, usually in the month of October, middle to late October is when we kind of get our final bills with wastewater, water and light. So it does take us a little bit longer to get those in. So we're able to make the revisions, as you can see. Chemicals we brought down, electrical, sewer, natural gas a little bit. And again, with our facility maintenance labor, it's now year 5 for our pool operator, so he kind of has everything down to science on how it gets winterized, how long it takes, so he's not there as nearly as long as he was 2 years ago. So. All right. I guess we'll proceed forward with the Lowe's Center. Again, shout out to staff, wonderful staff there. As our community is getting older, it's an aging community. The senior center, Centralia Center, is very important, I believe, to the city. All the programs that we offer there, the trips are very important to not only the people that live here, but people that from other communities that come and use the facility. So just all the extra exercise classes that we've been adding, because classes are getting bigger. They also use the aquatic center for swim programs as well. So with that budget, nothing has really changed. A lot of the projects that we've been doing at the Centralia Center has been funded through the Wisconsin Rapids Area Senior Center Association. They've been helping us put in new carpet, light fixtures, They paid for a new ice machine water dispenser last year. So has anyone got any questions on that? Okay. Buildings, grounds maintenance. Again, thanks to staff, they kind of run around a lot, going from building to building. They oversee all the maintenance in all city-owned buildings, so, you know, some days they'll get a lot of calls from the fire department or the library, and they do a great job, and can't thank them enough. We do a lot of work with Focus on Energy, so we hand in bills or invoices to them, and we get funds back for lighting projects. So last year we were able to receive over $4,000, and that just kind of goes back into the maintenance fund to replace lights as needed. And speaking of lights, we'll be starting the Whitterfield project here, hopefully in the next month or two. The lights, the new lights, the ball field lights are in, so we'll be working with Water and Light on getting those installed this winter.
When are we getting that done exactly?
Just kind of depends on the weather, kind of when the ground starts freezing. That's really all I had. If anyone had any questions.
So if you wanted to speak, I would hit call and you'd be able to speak.
All right, hit call.
Okay.
Thank you, Jake. So those are the budgets that you're going through tonight, the summaries, narratives of them, kind of where they're all at. Also hit this button to test out the request to speak button. So for those that are wondering, if you hit that, Jennifer does get it, and then it reflects on the board, and it gives me a timer. So that's great. Yeah, 3 minutes, that's all. Obviously Jake, being parks and building supervisor and recreation, he has a lot of different budgets. Has anybody got any specific questions on those while we have him here? So think Zoo, Aquatic Center, Whitterfield, Centralia Center, buildings.
I don't have any specific questions. I did look through it, and I thought it looked great. I appreciate the update with the almost $50,000 cut from that. Appreciate it, Jacob.
You're welcome.
Can you have both of them hit their speakers together?
Just gonna test this out. Can you guys hit your speak button?
Okay,
And you got it.
I got it. And there is an order. So there isn't, yeah, you hit it first. So that's good. So if he's done, then I'm going to end it, and then I have to give you permission to speak. So, want me to do that?
Yeah, just
Okay.
Test
I'm
it out.
I'm going to end Jake,
we're doing software testing right
and
now.
then I'm going to add Michael. There you go. Okay.
Test,
and
test,
now-
test.
Now we're gonna add Dean. Okay, there we go. All right, thank you.
All right, and then I will request again.
We already got your 3 minutes.
Let's see if I can
You
get
finished it.
Let's see if I can get 3 more. I left some on the board anyways. Thank you. Yeah, so I just wanted to thank you as well, Mr. Klingforth, knowing that the deficit the city's facing, that you went into your budget and were able to find the $52,172. So that, of course, helps us work towards getting that to the mandatory zero we need to submit to the state. So if there's not any other questions for Jake, we can let him get out of here. Anything else?
Thanks, Jake. Nice job.
Thank you. All right, we will move on to item 3, which is a referral to consider a lease and service agreement with Safe Haven Baby Boxes, Inc. for the installation of a Safe Haven Baby Box at Wisconsin Rapids Fire Station, and consider an agreement with a funder for funding sponsorship for the cost of the lease, installation, and maintenance of the Safe Haven Baby Box. Mr. Penskover, this is your referral if you would like to speak.
We have come up with a sponsor for the nonprofit. Saints Peter and Paul has kindly stepped up. Father Schaller was in for a meeting today. It was a very good discussion. I believe we are ready to move forward with a contract. Sue, if you'd like to add anything.
Yes, at the last finance meeting that we talked, that we discussed this, we had talked about an arrangement that I believe it was the city of Elkhorn had with a nonprofit or basically it was a church to fundraise or basically fund the baby box there. And you had directed me to well, actually, the group that's been kind of behind the Safe Haven Baby Box is the one that did most of the legwork here, but in finding this funder in St. Peter and Paul Parish would be the basically the agent that would satisfy all of the financial obligations of the city, that the city would have in a lease agreement with Safe Haven Baby Boxes. So we would have a memorandum of understanding with them, which should have been included, which I had sent out to you. The only change I met today with them, and the only change to that memo was to put to have a term in it. So we just did an initial term of 3 years, and then just automatically renewing successive 1-year period. So obviously the big ticket item is the actual lease, initial lease and installation costs, and after that, first few months of those costs, we would anticipate that the continuing obligation would be less than $1,000 a year. So that would really be all that would be required to be reimbursed to the city or paid on the city's behalf. So we have the memo of understanding with St. Peter and Paul Parish to take on the city's financial obligations, including installation, the initial lease, and then the recertifying and maintaining the box. There's also It also provides that if there are costs outside of the contract that the city would have with the Safe Haven Baby Box Company, that those additional costs, we don't anticipate there to be many, if at all, but there might be a cost associated with, replacing something or, the electrical. So the goal, as I understood it, was to have this be completely funded, not by the taxpayers, but through donations. So in addition to what would need to be paid to the Safe Haven Baby Box Company for the use of the box, additionally, if there are costs that the city directly incurs, those also would be reimbursed by the funder, the St. Peter and Paul Parish. So that's the member of understanding with St. Peter and Paul. And then there's the lease and service agreement, which I provided, and actually I just heard back this morning that that they're in agreement with all of the proposed changes that I had sent. So the lease and service agreement that was provided to you, other than we needed to put the premises location, and at this point I'm not sure if it's for sure at the west side, but so obviously we need to add that in the specific location. But other than that, everything else was agreeable, so I can have a clean copy of this in time for council. But it is exactly as it was provided to you last week. So the first step is the fundraising, and so the Safe Haven Baby Box Company does not, I mean, they want a check for everything at the time that the lease is sent to them. So the first step will be making sure that the funding is there, and we have some questions regarding fundraising and the extent that the city or the parish or basically anyone, how that should be handled, because they have had some pretty strict rules in terms of fundraising and how that was to be done. So we want to make sure that we would be handling that on behalf of the city, and the parish would be handling that correctly in accordance with how they run things with when these boxes are installed. So I'm going to be following up with the company this week. But other than that, I think the agreements have reached. I met with Father Schaller. He was, as I said, he was fine with the MOU. He's going to take it to his pastoral council and let them know about it. And but I would recommend that to move forward with these agreements, and basically then holding on to them until such time as all the funding is done, and then that would be when we would send everything to Safe Haven. And obviously the installation cost, that's another thing that's being done contemporaneously, looking at what those costs are, or can that be donated or what have you. So that's something else that's also being looked at. But in terms of these agreements, I think we've gotten to the end on those and can proceed with the other collateral issues. Yeah, that's what I would recommend. I'll clean these up, although, like I said, there really aren't any changes made to them in terms for council, in time for council, but just knowing that obviously the funding is the big thing, and figuring out the logistics of the installation, and I anticipate, that could be done in the next few weeks also. And then just basically giving approval to sign the agreement, but we would not actually send it to them until we had all of the funding done and the installation figured out.
I'm gonna ask her a question. So, Attorney Schill. So, in regards to this, I got a couple questions before we move forward. But so tonight we would motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with St. Peter and Paul and the lease with Safe Haven Baby Box, conditional on the fundraising for the fees?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
That we weren't, it conditioned on receiving all the money to fund installation and for the initial lease costs. Right, those, so basically this agreement is gonna kind of be in trust until such time as that's done. But as long as but the parish needs to know that this is gonna be the agreement with them, and Baby Box people need to know that this is the agreement we have with the parish and that we're willing to go ahead, and then it's just a matter of getting the money to them. So yeah, it would be approving these two agreements pending the funding component.
Okay, and then I know we've had you doing a lot of work on this. Do you want to speak and talk about, where funding may be at, or where we're making progress on this when we move forward from here? And then just state your name, please.
Okay, name is Linda Casper. I'm working on the Safe Haven Baby Box project. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you to all of you for getting this going, pushing it forward, especially Sue with what she's done with the MOU and getting the contract written, and also to Jeff. He's been an integral part of this. With the fundraising, what the question that was brought up today is they have very strict rules around the fundraising, as Sue mentioned. And so she's going to be checking with their attorney, because every time I call them and I ask them any questions, if I'm not one of the signees on the contract, they won't have a discussion with me about that. So once Sue finds out from the Safe Haven Baby Box Company that it's okay to go forward and fundraise, then we will be doing just basically, like Sue called it this afternoon, a grassroots fundraising to raise we figured probably about $30,000 to raise the funds to get it going. So until we know that answer, that I can actually start doing the fundraising, then we'll go forward. So,
Thank you for that update.
yep, you're welcome. Thank you also, everybody, for all your work too.
All right, so we'll have a mouthful for a motion here, unless anyone wants to say something beforehand.
I just appreciate Sue's work on this. I know it's been a lot, so I appreciate it, Sue.
Yeah, thanks to everybody who has worked on this and brought this forward. It's a good thing that we're to this point, and soon, hopefully, we'll be at the point where we're doing the blessing of the box. So I will make a motion to approve the lease with Safe Haven Baby Box and the memorandum of understanding with St. Peter and Paul, conditional on receiving funds for initial funding and the install cost of the Safe Haven Baby Box.
Second.
Let's try the e-vote for this if we can. Bear with us. Yep, no rush.
Here it is, okay, got it. All right. There you go. You guys see it on your, okay. Dean,
I clicked on it.
try again.
Vote on Kurt Ronem? Yes. What up?
That had saved.
Oh, save wasn't lit up.
There we go. We have 3 ayes, 0 nays.
All right, we have 3 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passes.
There's your screen.
And it's on the screen now. Excellent. Item 4, audit of the bills. I'm about to pull it up. All right, motion to approve checks number 27564 to 27902.
Can you give me those again, please?
Checks number 27564 to 27902.
Thank you.
Second.
Yes.
Do you see it?
Yeah. Move forward with the agreement.
Move forward with
That's
the
the motion.
agreement. No.
Are you on audited, are you supposed to be voting on the audited bills?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said we were, you said, hold on, I'm
Are
sorry.
you on?
Vote current item out of the bills, motion move forward with this agreement.
Well, that's weird, I don't have that on here. Okay. Let me reset it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I got a motion and I've got right in here, move the, here, let me take this out, see what happens. I didn't have that in there. Okay, motion to approve. Now what does it say?
Now it's
Audited.
correct.
Yep.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
That was
Thank
weird.
you.
I didn't even have that wording in here. Very strange. Okay.
All right, so cast your vote and then remember to click save in the bottom right-hand corner of that box.
Okay, 3 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion passes, 3 ayes, 0 nays. Item 5 is set next meeting date. So the first Tuesday in December for the regularly scheduled finance and property meeting is December 2nd. Dean?
Or, yeah,
Yep. All right, so the next regularly scheduled finance and property meeting will be Tuesday, December 2nd at 5 p.m. Item 6, closed session. In open session, the committee may vote to go into closed session under section 19.85, para 1, para E of the Wisconsin statutes, which reads, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, and section 19.85, para 1, para G, Wisconsin statute, which reads, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. And then in B, in closed session, the committee may discuss litigation strategy regarding former paper mill property tax assessment litigation the city is involved in, and may consider retaining outside litigation counsel for the tax assessment litigation.
We need a motion, right?
Yeah, we need a motion.
Motion to go into closed session.
I'll second.
Okay, 3 to 0. Pass.
Motion passes 3-0. We will now go into closed session.
we got to
For the tax assessment litigation. I will make a motion to retain Attorney Mitch Olson for outside counsel for the tax assessment litigation, including an appraisal.
Second.
second. Oh, you beat me.
Okay, Michael, you got second, alrighty, and, oh, hold on. Why does it say return to open? I'm like literally on this item, motion to retain, okay. Why is it doing that? Motion to retain counsel. Alright. Let me cancel that vote. I don't know why it's doing this. Hold on. Why is it doing that? Can you see it now?
Yep, it's correct now.
Oh, that's weird.
So, clerk, when you have the results.
Okay, 3 to 0.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you everyone for hanging with us as we did our first live test run of the new software. This meeting is adjourned at 6:08 p.m.